Welcome to the Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth podcast with Gary Heldt. Gary is an expert in helping business owners put together a plan that will provide a better future for their businesses, themselves, and their families. On the podcast, Gary interviews other professionals who share his vision, and together they share secrets and strategies any business owner can use to build a better financial foundation for your business and your life.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today, our guest is Rachael Burns, who is the founder of True Worth Financial Planning. Welcome, Rachael.
Thank you, Gary.
So, Rachael, tell us some about yourself and kind of, how is it that you got into the finance field?
Sure. So I've been in the industry for about 13 years, and I started off working in the big wirehouses. So my entire exposure to the industry was the big corporate setting, and so that was kind of all I knew. And spent many years there and worked at a couple different big firms, and really had no intention of leaving that world until just due to some events in my life, and also COVID, of course, has changed my career trajectory a little bit. So before COVID, after I'd been an advisor many years, I got married. I got pregnant with twins, and so that was a little different than I was planning on having a baby, but wasn't planning on having two babies at one time. So that kind of threw a wrench into things a little bit. But around that same time, my husband was diagnosed with brain cancer, like right around the same time that we found out we were having the twins. And so our personal life just got totally upended. And luckily with work, I was on a really great team, and they were really supportive, and I was able to get through, get the support I needed to get my clients through that time, get me through that time. But what I realized out getting through that situation, my husband is actually doing well right now. He's gotten through, there was a lot of treatment that he did at the time, but right now he's stable. But one thing that I realized was, I need to have some flexibility with my family situation. And although it was working with my old group, I really decided that I wanted to be closer to home, be more in charge of my own schedule, and be more in charge of just everything. And so, and that coincided with COVID, which was that forced us to be working from home. And I realized that I actually really preferred working from home. And we made it work with the family and with daycare and stuff. But what I took that as an opportunity to switch up what I was doing. And I had always liked working with women clients. I always especially enjoyed working with women who had been through some sort of difficult transition, whether that was going through a divorce, or a family member passed away, or their spouse passed away. So I always kind of had an unofficial niche in the kind of newly single women. But going out on my own, and being able to take on whoever I wanted to take on and charge them how I wanted to charge them, I really had the flexibility to work exactly with the type of people that I love to work with the most, which is women who are in a challenging transition. And so I made the decision that that's all I'm going to work with going forward. It's just women. And I especially wanted to focus on younger women, because older women who are going through something like that, usually they have more money because they're older. Younger women tend to be ignored by our profession because they usually don't have enough to meet the minimums to work with a traditional financial advisor. And I feel like just with talking to my own peers, and they don't have the support that they need. They don't know where to go for information. They're just kind of Googling things and making these like really big decisions without the information that they need to make those decisions. And so, combining that with and they're going through some sort of, trauma in their life, and they're in a really bad spot. And so I really wanted to focus on that particular group. So my niche is women in transition, but I tend to focus on the younger end, the 30s and 40s, especially, moms with little kids.
Right. Yeah, because it definitely, obviously, you've gone through the experience in your own life, and I think that definitely helps you with that niche. What is it that in going through with the your new clients, what are some of the questions you wish they were asking when they were coming in that they just don't know to ask?
With divorcing clients, a lot of times they don't ask, what should I be doing that's best for me in the long run? There's all these decisions to be made in the middle of a divorce, and when you're trying to get to a settlement, and they're kind of just wanting to get through it because it's this really unpleasant experience, and they just want it to be done. Or maybe they have an emotional attachment to the house, and so they want to keep the house instead of maybe taking more retirement assets. And it's like you're going through this really emotional time, and you have to make all these super important decisions. And I wish that they were able to ask an expert, hey, is this what's right for me in the long run? Is this going to help me achieve my goals in the long run? Because a lot of times they get stuck in a situation where it's not what's best for them in the long run. They're not going to be able to meet their retirement goals. They're not going to have the cash flow that they need to sustain the lifestyle that they're used to. And that's really hard for the average person to see into the future, what that will look like based on these financial decisions that they're making. But that's why I wish that those people would find someone to ask, what should I be doing here? And then with non-divorce situations, if someone is just kind of going through the loss of a loved one, I think the best question to ask is, what do I need to be doing now, and what can I put off for later? Because there's so many things that have to be done when someone passes away that it's incredibly overwhelming, and you're in this super emotional state. And there's certain decisions that you don't have to make right then. And actually, it's better that you don't make that decision right then, like maybe selling the house or moving to a new area. It's like, put that off until when things settle down and you get a little bit used to, your new situation. But it's helpful for those people to know, okay, these are the things that I actually do have to take care of right now. And these are the things I can't put off. And let's focus just on those. Let's not worry about the rest of it. And then we'll tackle those things later on down the line when we have a little bit more emotional bandwidth.
Right. I mean, I think that a lot of what you're saying is important, because I think that anybody who is going through a traumatic experience, a loss of a loved one or a divorce or anything, really needs to have somebody like you that's there to that doesn't have the emotion involved with it, that can help them kind of think clearly. And I would tell our listeners that it's important that even before you go through that, to go to somebody like you, because have you and your spouse plan properly for a loss of one of you,
yeah,
in the home and things like that. So I definitely think that that's something that's really important. Now, obviously, when you meet with these clients, obviously they've gone through a traumatic experience. There's things that that they should be thinking of. And I know you said that, hey, some of them we can put off until later, some of them that we kind of need to take care of now. What are some of those things that you feel that they can put off until later, instead of trying to tackle everything today?
Yeah, I think long-term decisions about your living situation can a lot of times be put off. And maybe someone might be like, oh, I just want to get out of here. I need to get rid of this house and it's like, that's a big, big, big decision. You want to make sure that you are looking objectively at that decision. So that's a big one. It's like living situation. That's going to have a big impact on your life, and you don't want to make a change and regret it later. the other things that you don't have to do right away, like you don't have to restructure your investments. I mean, it's like something that you'll have to look at eventually, but that's not a super urgent thing. As long as you didn't inherit a bunch of stuff that's like incredibly risky.
Right.
As long as that's not the case, let's just do the other stuff first, and we'll worry about making sure that the investments are in line with your goals, because your goals change when you're now single. So that's something that can be put off. Things that can't be put off is like estate planning stuff. Like, I don't care how young you are, how healthy you are, you have to have an estate plan. If you're single, it is super important to have all of that nailed down, have the documentation in place. So those are kind of the major ones.
Right. So what do you feel is one of the biggest concerns that the new clients coming to you have, and how do you help them overcome some of those fears?
I think the main concern that women have, whatever transition they're going through, is, how is this going to change my lifestyle? What is this going to mean for me and my family? Are we going to be, struggling? And it's a more complicated question to answer, because there's a lot of factors involved and there's a lot of changes. And but I think women just want to know, am I going to be okay? And if the fact that they're asking that question just to a professional person, usually I think that means, yeah, you're probably going to be okay, because we're going to do what we need to do to make sure that you're okay. It's not, it's doable. We just need to have a plan. We need to look at what you have, and we need to come up with a plan to make sure that you get there. But that's, I think, just the scariest thing. It's like, how am I going to survive? Just how is my lifestyle going to be changed, and how is my kids' lifestyle going to be changed? That's usually like the number one question.
Right. So somebody who's going through a divorce, and they come to you and sit down, what are some of the things that you kind of try to talk to them about? Because, obviously there's a big difference between taking retirement funds versus house versus cash and so forth. What are some of the things that you try to talk to them about?
I try to get them to reevaluate their long-term goals. And that's hard, because they probably had some goals which are going to look so different now that they're single. So I first try to encourage them to look at, okay, what are your goals for yourself going forward? How is that different now that you're on your own? What do you want your retirement to look like? What are your goals for your kids? What are your goals for where you live? Because depending on, that's going to determine what you need to be doing now to get you towards those goals. So I think looking at the goals first can help guide them as they're making decisions right now when it comes to splitting assets or, cash flow things. I think focusing on the goals first is just going to help guide the whole process.
Yeah. I say this to any of the listeners that are on here, is that I feel that it's very important that both spouses are involved in the tax return planning, also in the financial planning. So if something does happen to one of them, the other one at least has, even though they may not want to have anything to do with it, they have somewhat of an understanding of where things are, where they need to go to find things. I think that's very important. Mm-hmm. Because it does, your budget's going to change, and I know nobody likes that B word there, but it's going to change, and you really got to kind of go back and recreate your budget to figure out. And I'm sure that that's one of the things that you have them work on, because how am I going to be okay? I don't know. Let's put together your budget. Let's see where we may need to cut to be able to afford what you want to be able to afford during that time. With that being said, what are some of the mistakes that you're seeing the people make as they go through this, even after they've gotten you to start work with them?
Some of the biggest mistakes that I've seen are when it comes to the split of the assets, when they just plain made the wrong decision, when they accepted a proposal that was not the right thing for them. Like, for example, and this is a super common scenario, but I have a client who so she got divorced before I met her, and she took a retirement account, which was the same market value as the house, which was paid off. And she didn't understand that the retirement account was pre-tax. So really she got maybe 70% of that.
Right.
And she did not know that going into it. And that's a giant amount of money. I mean, that was something that's kind of continuing to haunt her now, because her plan was based on numbers that weren't accurate. And that is so common, is people not understanding, when they're splitting up assets, how different assets are taxed, or how different assets grow at different rates, or, there's just, those assets can look so different in the long run, even though right now they look roughly equal. And that's something I see all the time.
Yeah, I think that goes back to making sure that you have a team that you've built around you, not just a financial advisor that thinks like you do, but a CPA that's helping with the taxes, an attorney that actually understands this, and have them all. And people may say, well, man, that's a lot of fees that I'm paying to have the three of them get together with me to go over it. But it's going to save you so much money down the road.
So much money
when you make that mistake now, it haunts you. Because I agree, I've seen it exactly the same thing, and it was a little bit different in the fact that there's $1 million in retirement assets, there's $1 million in after-tax investments, and they try to just split it. Okay, here, you take the retirement, I'm taking the cash. And I had to kind of step in and say, wait a second, that's not equal.
Those are not equal. Yeah.
Right. So I definitely see that, and lots of times it's the spouse that isn't involved in the regular planning that ends up, I don't want to say somebody's trying to pull a fast one on them, but that's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Obviously, you started out, kind of the COVID timeframe and things like that. What are some of the challenges, that you're facing with what your niche is, and then kind of getting out and getting started now?
I was really surprised that there were not more challenges. I was really expecting that. I mean, going out on your own and starting a business and doing anything during COVID is like kind of a nightmare. But I had these expectations, and I was like, oh, this really isn't so difficult, because we all were forced to adapt and to do things from home that we hadn't done before. And since we're all doing it together, it wasn't that difficult for clients to adapt to that way of working together. It seems like it's worked really well for them. And I have a lot of clients who actually prefer that, and they're glad that they don't need to come in and, put on some real clothes and get in the car to come see me.
Sweatpants off. And
we can be in our jammies with our coffee, and we can get work done, and it's just so much more efficient. So that was like much easier than I was expecting. And then also marketing has been so much easier than I thought, because I think having a narrow niche makes marketing so much easier and cheaper too, because you're not trying to reach every single person in the world. You're trying to just reach this kind of small group of people, and you just got to be kind of clever and figuring out how to get them. But I found that I've been learning a lot about online marketing and social media marketing, and it's really amazing how you can target your message so that the right people are seeing it, and the right people are like, oh, this is exactly what I was looking for. I'm so glad I found this. There are so many things that are possible now because of this like post-COVID way of doing things that I don't think would have been possible before. I would not have been able to do this if I was still in the office, limited to the types of advertising that my firm does. It's like totally wouldn't have been possible for me to reach the clients that I'm able to reach now.
Yeah, I know with my business, we were using Zoom before all of this went down anyway, so it was an easier transition. But I have found, and the feedback that I've gotten from a lot of my clients is that they like it because they can hop on Zoom with me during their lunch, go through whatever they need to go through, and then boom, they're back. As compared to before, they would have to take a half a day off because, you know, they're working downtown and then they got to drive out and everything else.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a certain market that it has definitely have embraced it.
Yeah.
But I still have my clients that want to come in and sit down and shake your hand and everything else. So
Yeah.
it's still there both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. And I still enjoy getting together with people in person. I do it whenever I can, but it's nice that, you know, there's options now.
Right. So you've been on your own for a year and a half now.
Mhm.
What do you know now that you wish you knew when you first started, to help you along here?
I just know what's possible now, and I know how this is the exact way that I want to be doing things. And I wish I knew that a little earlier, but it's fine. I think I spent a nice amount of time doing something a little different, but like it's not that unattainable to go out on your own and to work with who you want to work with, because everyone has their own thing. Like, you can have the most random niche in the world and you can do that. You can build a practice where you only work with those people and you can love every second of it because those are your people. And it's like, I had no idea that was possible. So I learned that fairly quickly after going out on my own. I was like, oh, I could have done this a while ago.
Right. I think that so many people are, you know, afraid. They're chasing after the dollar, and you know, they're definitely, you know, you definitely have your challenging clients and things like that. But I think sometimes people think that just because a client's asking questions and things like that, that they're trying to be difficult. And I've learned it's just they think differently than other people do. So it doesn't mean that they're a bad client. It just means that you need to handle things a little bit differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you see on the horizon for you know, your niche and what you're doing?
I think with the industry in general with financial planning, I think there's a lot more options that are becoming available that are not your traditional big wirehouse firms. And so I think as a result, there are people who have been underserved or ignored or whatever. I mean, there have been these people that have not been on the radar of your average financial advisor, and those people are having options and they can get the support they need and they can find someone who specializes in their exact type of situation. And I think people in general are going to have access to better advice going forward and for a reasonable cost, which I think is like fantastic. I think that can change the world if people have the right financial advice that they need. Like that can impact, that can have a huge impact. And specifically with my niche, same thing. Those people, there are women who are in that situation who are like, okay, am I going to go to my dad's financial advisor? Like, does that person understand me? Is that person talk in a way that I understand? Is that even the services that I want? That those people are going to have better support and better service because they have these options and they're able to find these people who will want to work with them.
Yeah, I think that's a very important statement there, because again, I'm not going to be the CPA for everybody. You're not going to be the financial advisor for everybody. You really have to see how your personalities work together and things like that. And I think as an individual investor, it's one of those things. If there's nothing wrong with interviewing a couple of financial advisors and finding the one that you feel that, you know, you have the personality that you guys can work together. And if not, you know, no harm, no foul. You just need to be upfront and honest, and don't go down the road with that one person if you're not sure,
Mhm.
because you don't want to get into that, I'm going to say, that combative relationship where it's like, hey, you didn't tell me this and you didn't tell me that, when reality is they did, but you were just, from a personality standpoint, didn't want to hear what they were saying. And I think that that's something that's important. And I think from our side as a professional, we need to do the same thing. Why is it important? Why do you think it's important to use a professional like you to help someone with their financial planning?
I think the average person does not have the expertise or the experience. Like, no one should be expected to know this stuff, because we don't learn this in school. I mean, I majored in finance and then I went on to get an MBA, and like, I still didn't learn about personal finance ever. So, it's like you're either lucky enough to have parents or someone who are willing to talk to you about it and spend the time to teach you about it. But if that's not the case, people are, it's up to them to learn this stuff. And so it's like, no one should feel bad about not knowing this.
Right.
But you have to know, okay, this is not my area of expertise. I need some help. And Googling probably isn't, this is kind of a big deal. This is more important. I don't want to just be like Googling stuff. So I think recognizing that your financial future is really important and you want to do the right thing. And the earlier that you start doing the right thing, the easier it is. And just realizing that, you know what, I'm going to have to probably maybe invest a little bit of money, but I need to get some expert help that's going to make sure that I'm on track to my goals.
Right. We've covered a bunch of stuff so far, but what questions have I not asked you that you wish I had?
I was thinking about that. I don't know. Yeah, you asked some great questions. I don't.
Good. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. What when someone comes to you after a loss of a loved one, I know you already said for single people and things like that, it's important to make sure that you have your estate planning and things like that. What are some other things that they need to think about? Because, to me, not everybody thinks of estate planning as the same. We've had on a couple of guests that truly are estate planners, because everybody says, oh, I got a will, I'm good.
Yeah.
So, somebody who has lost a spouse, what are some of the things that you try to make sure that from a financial standpoint that you help them with for going forward?
Yeah, there are so many misconceptions about what estate planning means. First of all, when you say estate, people think really, really wealthy people, but estate planning is for everyone. Everyone needs an estate plan. I don't care who you are. Right. And when you are newly single for whatever reason, then it's especially important, because it's not just coming up with a plan for who inherits your money when you die. It's what happens to you if you get hurt or sick and you're not able to make decisions on your own. Who do you want to step in and help you with those things? Who do you want taking care of your kids if you're not able to take care of them? I mean, it goes far beyond just what happens to your assets when you die. And a lot of people think, well, I'm young and what are the odds of that actually happening? But let me tell you, I'm 36 and I have an estate plan. I have a trust, I have a will, I have powers of attorney, I have healthcare directives, and I have come this close to needing, I've used it. And I'm a young, healthy person, and there have been times where I thank God that we did the planning that we did, because there were some times where it was really scary and like, oh my gosh, what do we need to do to make sure that if this happens, we're going to be okay. We had that spelled out and we didn't have to worry about that at that time. But no one is safe from something unexpected happening.
Right.
And it's pretty easy to do. You have to put in some thought to what you want to happen, but like it's going to take a little bit of your time. It's going to take a little bit of money to work with an estate planning attorney, but you can make sure that your wishes are carried out, whatever happens. And that's so important to everyone, but especially when you're newly single.
Yeah, I think that, again, goes back to that, spend a little bit of money now to save it, on the backside,
Yeah.
and to save some of the pain and stuff, not just for you, but for
Your family.
that leave behind.
Yeah.
They're the ones that have to pick up and clean up the mess that you left if you didn't plan. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So Rachel, if people like what they hear and they fit into your niche, how can they reach out to you?
So you can find me on my website, which is trueworthfp.com, or I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. But if you go to my website, you can schedule a free consultation. I'm happy to spend a half hour to chat with whoever, and that's a good place to start.
Okay, great. Well, we really appreciate your time and your wisdom today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Gary.
So today our guest was Rachael Burns, who's the founder of True Worth Financial Planning. Thank you.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.